Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. 2026 really is the year that sunscreens leveled up. And the reason I'm saying this is we have greater access than ever before to long wear sunscreens. Sunscreens that offer protection against the harmful rays of the sun for 4, 6, and in some cases 10 hours. Gone are the days where we need to reapply our sunscreen every 2 hours. We can now get really convenient long wear sun protection in some of the nicest feeling formulas that I've ever tried. So, in today's video, we're going to unpack it all. I'm going to share with you the science behind long wear sunscreens, how they actually work, share with you whether I think they're actually a great replacement for traditional style sunscreens, and of course, share with you my absolute favorite long wear sunscreens if you want to try them out for your own skincare routine. Sit back, relax, and let's talk leveled up sunscreen. Now, in today's video, I'm going to share with you my own take on this topic, but I want to hear from you guys. Let me know down in the comment section below. Have you tried a long wear sunscreen? What was your experience? Any brands that you would personally recommend? The long wear sunscreens have actually been around for quite some time, but they've never really exploded into popularity the way that they have in 2026. So if you're one of the people that's previously tried one, I want to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments below. Whatever your thoughts on long wear sunscreens, if you enjoy this style of content, which as always is sponsorship and paid partnership free, make sure to let me know by reaching down and giving the video a big thumbs up and a like. You will never see an ad here on Mad About Skin because I pride myself on my independence, speaking from the heart and never the wallet. So if you want to support me as a truly unbiased content creator, the best way of doing it is liking any video that you happen to enjoy. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Now, without further ado, let's cut that waffle and delve straight on in. So, long wear sunscreens, are they actually too good to be true? Well, I know this is often the first impression that people have when they hear that sunscreens exist that can deliver 4, 6, 8, or even 10-hour protection. Because for the longest time, we've been told that you have to reapply your sunscreen every 2 hours on the second hour. And honestly, this just isn't convenient. You know, maybe if you're on the beach, fine, you'll have a sunscreen to hand that you can reapply with that frequency. But when you're going about your day-to-day work, running the kids to school, going about your errands, it's just not convenient to have to reapply every 2 hours, which is why most people skip it. In fact, whilst around 30% of the Western population will use a sunscreen every single day, when it comes to reapplication, the percentage that say they reapply every 2 hours is actually only 6%. So 6% of people are actually reapplying these old style sunscreens the way that they're supposed to, meaning there's a huge gap in the coverage that people see. There's no shame in that. I am one of those people. I diligently apply my sunscreen every single morning, but I never used to reapply those 2 hour sunscreens the way that I actually needed to. So there was gaps in the protection that I was getting. Well, thanks to long wear sunscreens, that's all changed, and we can now protect our skin for a longer period of time, just a more convenient way of approaching sun protection. So how does this actually work? Well, old style sunscreens, the ones that used old style filters, were inherently unstable. Those filters, once exposed to sunlight, degraded, and fairly rapidly, which means after that 2 hour window, there really was a noticeable decrease in the level of SPF protection that you are actually getting, which is why brands recommended you reapply. New generation filters are more photo-stable, which means they degrade at a much slower rate. As a result, they actually retain their protection levels for much longer. Brands are also able to formulate with a higher SPF value, which means any degradation that you see, whilst minimal, will still be present. But by the end of the time window that they're proclaiming their sunscreen to work on, they're still matching that SPF 50 or SPF 30 that they're claiming on the bottle. This is what a lot of brands are doing. And as a brief example, say you have an SPF 50 that is, suitable for 4 hour wear, they're probably starting out with maybe an SPF 65. Small amount of degradation means at the end of that 4 hour window, when it's tested once again, it's still measuring an SPF 50 or higher, which is how they can claim that it delivers over that 4 hour window. This is a tiny tweak to formulating that's actually made such a big difference. It's only possible because of those photo-stable filters, but brands have really started to think about how they can extend the wear time of our sunscreens in order to deliver maximum results. I would say don't worry, the same same testing has to apply. If as a brand you're claiming that your product is delivering SPF 50 over 6 hours, it still needs to be tested at the end of that 6-hour period and still needs to measure SPF 50 or higher in order to make that claim. The same robust testing is still in place, which can give us confidence as consumers that we're still getting that protection just over a longer period of time. Now, I know there are some cynics out there that say, no, this is still too good to be true. Even though that's been explained, this is still too good to be true. And there are a couple of caveats that I want to throw out before I share with you my favorite long wear sunscreens. Now, of course, all of this really is situational depending on what you're doing. So if you're somebody that maybe is toweling, you're in and out of the water, you're toweling, you're rubbing off that sunscreen, you're going to need to reapply it. It doesn't matter if a product says it's good for 6 hours. If you've toweled and you've removed some with the friction, you need to reapply. The same thing goes if you're somebody that's going on an extreme jog and you're sweating a lot. That sunscreen isn't going to be holding up the way it would if you were just running errands day to day, and you might want to reapply it a little bit more frequently. I always say that any time window that a brand will give you on their sunscreen is for standard circumstances, day-to-day life and living, and anything more extreme than that, you might still want to, exercise a little extra caution and reapply more frequently. I'm somebody that really takes a day-by-day approach. If it is a regular UV day where I'm just running regular errands, I will definitely use it as per the instructions on the sunscreen. If I was at the beach though and it was a super high UV day, I would probably just reapply a little bit more frequently anyway, just like I say, out of an abundance of caution, because you know what, you can never be too short with these things. Always remember that the sunscreen levels, the protection levels that they're giving really are designed for day-to-day standard use, and if you're doing anything a little bit more than that, then like I say, just apply a little bit more. It just makes common sense. But I'm a huge advocate for the use of long wear sunscreens because, as I said, I'm somebody that never ever reapplied every 2 hours like the brands told us to, so I just wasn't getting that protection. This makes it super easy. You use less product as a result of this because you're reapplying less frequently, meaning it's cost effective, it's less time consuming, and it just makes skincare enjoyable. It's also great if you're wearing makeup and you're putting makeup over your sunscreen and you don't want to have to reapply it every 2 hours, which is going to disrupt that makeup. A long wear sunscreen definitely could be your best friend. So here are my personal favorites, the ones that I have tried and tested on various holidays and on this very face and have delivered so many great results. Well, the list has to start with the Ryman P20 Original. This is their original formula. I'm leaving an image of it here in case you're wondering which one it is. I will also list and link it down in the description box below, as I will all the products mentioned. So this is a 10-hour wear sunscreen. 10 hours. And again, the brand has tested it at the end of that 10 hours and it's still giving the SPF protection that they're claiming. This is all under standard conditions. Again, I would reapply this a little bit more frequently if you're swimming a lot, if you're toweling off, if you're doing a lot of jogging, anything that could be rubbing the sunscreen off the skin, I would definitely reapply more frequently. But for standard day-to-day wear, 10 hours. This is actually the longest wear sunscreen that I think I've ever found, and it held up. I've been using this for years and it genuinely works. Now this does have a relative high amount of alcohol in it, which isn't a problem if you have very oily skin, but if you have a more dryness skin type, you might want to go for one of the other options that's a little less drying. For me, as someone who's super oily, this is great, and it's actually the alcohol that really makes it kind of stick and have that length of wear, which is why it's needed. I absolutely love this. This was the original long wear sunscreen, so that's why I started this list off with it, and I still think it's going strong. In fact, the whole P20 line is really good. They have some other creamier formulas, but this one is my personal favorite when it comes to long wear. Now, my next recommendation for people that want a creamier formula, I think that P21 is great if you want a dry down matte formula. Like I say, wonderful if you have a slightly more oil prone skin. If you want something that's a bit creamier, a bit richer, then I would totally recommend the Soltan Once Advanced. This is an 8-hour protection, and whilst it doesn't have quite the same water resistance that the P21 does, the P20 is fine for up to 80 minutes in water. After that, you'll have to reapply. The Soltan one is good for 40 minutes. So again, has that water resistance built in, which I love to see. Great if you're around the pool, you're at the beach, all fantastic. But this actually has a much richer and creamier formula. So if you're somebody that has a more dryness prone skin type, this is probably going to be a really great option for you. Now, with all of these longer wear sunscreens, you're going to have to make sure that you're choosing one that matches your individual skin type and the finish that you want to see. As I said, that P21 dries down really matte. This one, the Soltan Advanced, has a slightly more dewy finish. It's just a richer, a creamier formula. I think that's great, as like I say, some people want that extra hydration, that extra moisture. This is going to be the one for you, and it's super inexpensive. The Soltan range actually is from Boots, which is the pharmacy here in the UK, but they do retail online as well. So you can walk into a Boots and you can pick this up off the shelf. I think it's somewhere in the region of about £9. So a really inexpensive option that I think is great for the whole family, great for the beach, and great for anybody that just wants a little extra hydration from their sunscreen. Now, when it came to creating my own sunscreen, I obviously wanted to go down that long wear route. I mean, I would be a total hypocrite if I've just said, you know, I was really frustrated by those 2-hour wear sunscreens. I was never using them and reapplying them as frequently as I needed to. I would be a hypocrite if I just created the same old stuff that exists already. So, of course, I wanted to go down the long wear route. This is the Mad About Skin Protect and Hydrate sunscreen. This has a 6-hour mechanism of action, so 6-hour window of protection from this one, SPF 50+, and high UVA coverage too. What I think this differs from the other two that I've mentioned is it's lighter weight. So you've got the creaminess, which you have from that Soltan one, but it's a lighter weight application, and you've got more hydration than you get from that P20, but it still gives a nice matte finish. It's just like a natural skin finish. I would say this is probably the closest to a lightweight sunscreen that you're going to get with that longer wear application, and I absolutely am so proud of this formula. If you see how this goes on the skin, it disappears so quickly. It's one of those products that you don't need to work in for, you know, hours to actually get it to work. It just disappears. It leaves behind a really nice dose of hydration, but it's not greasy. It doesn't clog the pores. I am super oily and acne prone, and this has never clogged my pores. And it doesn't have that super chemically smell that some other long wear sunscreens can have. This, I say, is one of those sunscreens that genuinely feels like the best style Korean sunscreen, but has that longer wear factor, which is really important when it comes to convenience. I am so proud of this formulation, and yeah, this is when I'm about to go on holiday. Actually, I'm pre-filming this to upload whilst I'll be away, so if you're watching now, at this point I'll probably be on the beach somewhere wearing this, because this is my go-to for long wear convenience, but that lightweight finish that dries down so you don't worry about all the sand sticking to you and all that nonsense. You won't get that with this one. So yeah, if you're watching this on the day of upload, leave the sunshine emoji down in the comments, because I'll probably be enjoying a little bit of sun and I'd love to bring you along on my holiday with me. The other great thing about this one is it is stain free. So if you're wearing any white or cream clothing when you're applying it, this won't leave that horrible like yellow banding that you get around their clothes with some sunscreens. Stain free, which again is a huge plus, because I hate going on holiday and come back and all my clothes are ruined because they're all sunscreen stained. You won't get that with this, and that's another huge tick in the box. 6 hours wear on this one, and yeah, just so proud of that formulation. And I will leave a link to it down in the description box below with a discount code, which will just again bring that price point down even further for you. And we do still have an offer, a trio of this, where you can buy 3 and save 33%. Again, I'll leave a link to that one, because I always think when it comes to sunscreen, there's never any harm in stocking up, because it's one of those products you really don't want to run out of. Now, in 4th place on this list, I want to call out Ultrasun Extreme 50. So this is an extreme sunscreen. They badge themselves an extreme sunscreen because the staying power of this is honestly unparalleled. You put this on the skin and it has phenomenal water resistance, it has phenomenal long wear protection, and this actually delivers 4-hour protection window, which again is double what you normally expect to see when it comes to other sunscreens. That 4 hours just means you have the convenience, you're going to go out and about, and this definitely is a great option for people that are doing more extreme activities. If you're skiing, for example, and you know you need that really high UVA protection, maybe you're in a really high UV beach or location, you're doing something maybe a little bit out of the ordinary, this is a great product to reach for. Ultrasun are one of my favorite sunscreen brands. They really do it well, particularly with those extreme wear products, and this, yeah, ticks so many boxes. It's not the cheapest product out there, but I think for specific circumstances, like I say, for skiing, if you're going hiking and you don't need to reapply as often, things like that, I think this is a really good option that, you know, delivers that long wear extreme protection that we love, and does so in a way that doesn't feel super heavy on the skin, which again is something I definitely look for. And then last but by no means least, let's talk about the Geek and Gorgeous Zero Feel sunscreen. This super affordable. I'd say that the Mad About Skin one and the Geek and Gorgeous one are the two most affordable of these long wear sunscreens, and this one is fantastic. Now, I'm going to throw a little caveat out with this one. They're actually still conducting the testing in terms of the exact time for their long wear. They say that this is perfectly fine to use, reapply every 4 hours in standard conditions, but they're testing it to see if it can actually withstand slightly longer application windows, and they should be releasing that data in the next couple of months. So it's possibly giving more than 4 hours protection. However, we have to go with what the brand currently know, which is that 4-hour window. I'll update you when their testing comes back for longer wear options. This has only just been launched. Zero feels in the name, zero feel in application. You don't know you're wearing a sunscreen. You get that 4-hour wear on it. It feels beautiful, gives a nice matte finish. This is truly the first cream but matte finish that I've ever found in a sunscreen. It's hydrating, but you don't know it's there. A really, really great product. One of my favorite skincare brands. Geek and Gorgeous do so much right, and this is probably one of my favorite products from one of my favorite skincare brands. Really, really nice. And again, I think going to show that you don't have to have heavy, bulky feeling sunscreens to deliver long wear protection. Geek and Gorgeous and Mad About Skin ones are both feel like just standard sunscreens, but with that extra long wear and that extra protection, which I think is so important. So let me know, guys. Have you already tried a long wear sunscreen? If you have, share with me what your personal favorite is. Maybe you've done so unknowingly, unwittingly reached for one of the ones that I've already mentioned, in which case, phenomenal. I would just leave you with this quick caveat. Whilst all the products mentioned today are fantastic in terms of their long wear, their longevity of protection, make sure that you're just using the common sense that we should apply to all of our protection, which is if you're in and out of the pool, you're drying your toweling off, maybe you're doing some jogging and there's got that friction. These are all things which are going to be removing some of that SPF protection, and you might want to reapply a little bit more frequently. That's absolutely fine and something that I would recommend people doing. But day to day, running your errands, maybe you're off to work, all of these offer fantastic options for long wear protection that doesn't have the inconvenience of needing to reapply every 2 hours. That for me is leveled up sun protection. Let me know your thoughts, and wherever you are in the world, guys, stay safe, stay well, I love your skin. Take care. Bye.